Welcome to our exploration of empathy and enmeshment. Understanding these concepts is crucial for anyone in the medical field. We'll dive into how they differ and why it's important to distinguish between them for effective patient care. What is empathy? What is enmeshment? How do they differ? Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Enmeshment is a description of a relationship between two or more people in which personal boundaries are permeable and unclear. There is no emotional separation. Why is this important?
Empathy involves understanding and sharing another's feelings, while enmeshment blurs personal boundaries. This distinction is vital for practitioners to avoid becoming overly involved in patients' problems, which can hinder effective treatment.
Practitioners often struggle to balance empathy and enmeshment. It's essential to create healthy boundaries to help patients effectively without absorbing their issues as your own. This module aims to guide you in achieving that balance. Too many times, practitioners have a difficult time distinguishing between being able to understand the patient's problem and understanding their experience so that you can help them with the greatest potential. And on the other side, you may be getting too involved and sucked into the problems of your patients to the point they start feeling like your own problems. This module will help you start creating healthy boundaries to allow you to be the most effective physician you can be. As a medical provider, you have the privilege to hear important information that a patient has possibly never told anyone. Many times this information is just data gathering that will help you create your diagnosis. Other times it will be the stories that are intertwined within the person that can hinder healing. These stories are so consuming to the patient that they believe that there is immense truth in something that may or may not hold merit.
Empathy is a key quality for building trust with patients. When patients feel understood, they're more likely to share vital information. This trust is crucial for accurate diagnosis and effective treatment, making empathy indispensable in medical practice. It is our job to embrace the stories and use our discretion to determine what is valuable and what is not valuable information. It can be quite difficult to navigate the amount of information that could come at you.
Patients many times will feel that their story needs to be heard and that what they need to tell you is way more important than the actual information that you need for your diagnosis. This feeling is possibly due to the patient sharing information that they have never told anyone because they have found trust in you. The concept of empathy versus enmeshment is important to understand when you want to become an effective practitioner. There are minor distinctions to make between the two, but understanding those distinctions is important in allowing you to be able to do your job effectively.
Empathy is important as a provider. Actually, it may be the most important quality a practitioner can master to be effective in developing relationships in the limited time allowed in most visits. When a patient senses a lack of empathy, they have the ability to immediately shut down and prevent sharing of vital information. They sense a lack of care and lack of concern for them. This may not be true. You may have great concern and interest in that person and may be able to solve their issues. But if they cannot sense your care and understanding of their situation, which is true empathy, then the ability to get information from that person essentially decreases. The trust of your patient is one of the key aspects of being able to correctly identify and treat their problem. And trust only comes when they know you empathize with their situation.
Enmeshment can be mistaken for empathy. Patients may seek validation, wanting you to agree with their feelings. It's important to acknowledge their emotions without becoming entangled in their personal stories, which can impede your ability to help. True empathy is the other person's ability to sense your care and understanding. Empathy can be a very challenging thing for a patient to experience. It may be the first time in their life they've had someone outside of their immediate family show any concern towards them or their health.
The simple act of showing a deep understanding of the person's problem, along with being able to effectively communicate, are key to getting the information you need to make an effective diagnosis efficiently. Enmeshment can be easily seen as empathy for the patient. Many times, the patient will disclose information that may or may not be pertinent to the situation, but they're seeking out validation from you. They want to ensure that their feelings about a particular situation are valid and that you understand how these feelings have affected their life. They will make sure that you verbally agree with them before they are willing to move on. This can become a very difficult situation. You will constantly have patients who come in and want to tell me their whole life story, but have only 10 minutes to help them with their problem. This requires a skill set to redirect the patient to first feel heard, and then to allow me to be able to do my job and help the patient. Empathy is, in part, leaving the impression that the person has been heard. If you remain enmeshed in the patient's story, then you are stuck taking on their burden, no matter if they are real or not. When the patient starts speaking, giving you what you feel is irrelevant, you need the skill set to stop that by saying, "I hear what you're saying. I know this information is important to you," by validating their thoughts. The next step is being upfront by letting them know we want to focus on the main issue of the visit.
In today's fast-paced world, conscious leadership is more important than ever. Neurochange Solutions helps you develop self-awareness, empathy, and emotional resilience, qualities that are essential for effective leadership. As your coach, I'll show you how to integrate these principles into your life and career, allowing you to lead with intention, clarity, and impact. Want to become a conscious leader? Let's work together to develop the skills needed to lead with clarity and empathy.
I would try to avoid talking about limiting time or go about it in a different way, telling the patient, "Let's stay focused on our main issue or concern today." What you've done is redirected them out of the behavior of enmeshment and shown empathy. If you hear the patient continuously seeking out confirmation and affirmation that their feelings are valid, then you are at risk of becoming enmeshed in the situation. Each time that you affirm a person's beliefs or thoughts that you may or may not agree with, you essentially start taking on those stories in your own thoughts. Now you end up seeing this person with all these stories. Instead of being able to help them, you start getting caught up in the same exact stories that are holding them back. When this type of situation happens, it is very difficult to make any progress with the client because you are getting consumed with the same information that's preventing them from understanding their situation.
Redirecting patients from enmeshment to empathy involves acknowledging their feelings and refocusing on the main issue. This approach helps maintain professional boundaries while ensuring patients feel heard and understood, enhancing the therapeutic relationship.
Empathy allows you to understand patients' problems without taking them on as your own. By separating their issues from your emotions, you can provide care and support without being overwhelmed, leading to more effective patient outcomes. It took me many years to understand that I was expressing empathy, but I was also becoming enmeshed in my patients' problems. I would take their burdens home at night. I would try to solve the problems in my sleep. I couldn't let go. The beauty of empathy is you can understand a person's problem. You can listen to the worst situations, and instead of taking them on as a burden to yourself, you can start seeing them as a complication that this person has taken on, that is preventing them from healing. When you can separate it from the suffering that the person is telling you, then you can enter the situation still caring, but not allowing the extra complications from clouding your judgment as it has for the patient. You are now able to show care and love towards the patient. Understanding this simple concept can help an excellent practitioner become even more remarkable in their ability to help their patient. Some of the greatest practitioners will have to deal with severely complicated cases and very troubling stories. If you observe how they operate through the day and see how patient after patient, they collect complicated information and show care and concern without becoming intimately involved with the patient's problems, you can recognize why they are successful. They have developed trust relationships with their colleagues, their patients, ancillary medical personnel, and have navigated employing empathy rather than enmeshment.
In conclusion, mastering empathy while avoiding enmeshment can elevate your practice. By maintaining professional boundaries, you can handle complex cases with care and concern, building trust, and achieving better patient outcomes. Thank you for joining us.